everybody! This week on Ask Kristen, I am proving ancient Greek doctor and philosopher Galen wrong. This week's Ask Kristen question is coming from someone who would like to remain anonymous, and Anonymous wants to know, have you ever heard of something called post-coital sadness? It's when you have a general feeling of depression, guilt, or sadness after sex or orgasm. It happens to me a lot, and I'm just now starting to understand it. Barely. Descriptions of post-coital sadness go all the way back to our ancient annals of medicine. Greek physician and philosopher Galen once observed, every animal is sad after coitus except the human female and the rooster. A post-sex or orgasm feeling of depression, sadness, angst, general ennui can last anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 hours. The most recent study that was done came out in October 2015, and it found that among the quite limited white heterosexual female study population that it interviewed, 46% had experienced it at some point, and a little over 5% experienced it on a regular basis. We don't have any good data on how prevalent this is among people who are not straight, white, cisgender women, but anecdotally we do know that this happens within the broader population. And slightly tangential personal thought, I wonder if empirically overlooking men's experiences with this have to do with our stereotypes about women being more emotionally invested in sex and also being likelier to, cry, while we assume that men always want sex. But what is the this of post-coital sadness? A lot of it probably has to do with the neurochemistry of sex and orgasm. In order to incentivize sex for reproduction and also make it more enjoyable, our brain does us a really big favor by lowering activity in our reasoning prefrontal cortex and our fear and anxiety inducing amygdala. When we achieve an orgasm, we have a shot of dopamine that rushes through our brain and gives us that fireworks feeling throughout our body that makes sex and orgasms the bee's knees. If there wasn't some kind of safety valve in place, we would be very unproductive animals. That's where the neurochemical prolactin comes in. After we have an orgasm, prolactin increases in our brains to inhibit dopamine receptors and also to produce feelings of sexual satisfaction, closeness, general chillaxing. Not to mention activity in those other brain structures like your prefrontal cortex and amygdala also starts to increase. So it could be then that postcoital sadness is simply a product of our neurochemicals awkwardly leveling out. But there's also, on a more serious note, a tenuous connection between postcoital sadness and past sexual abuse. If this is something that seriously disrupts your life, you would probably want to go talk to a therapist about it in case it is triggering past issues. Regardless of what exactly might be causing you to feel sad after sex, Australian researcher Robert Schweitzer, who published that most recent study on it, emphasized that we need to better acknowledge how our sexual experiences really are on a spectrum, and that if it's something that happens to you, to own it and be able to talk about it to a trusted partner if possible. So now, as Anonymous was curious to know, are there any of you watching who have experienced this too, or have you ever been intimate with someone who has experienced this? And do you have any tips on dealing with it? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks everybody who watched and commented on last week's Ask Kristen video. Who spends the most time on the toilet? Jenna Gallon Peterson commented, it's definitely my man taking longer in the washroom at home. I quickly caught on to this trend when we moved in together, and now if we're on our way home and I need to use the washroom when we get there, I let him know before we arrive that he has to let me go first. Oh, the things I've accomplished while waiting to use the toilet. And Jared A said, I do feel as a male that I enjoy the luxury of a private and clean bathroom and will sometimes enjoy other things such as an app, but in public restrooms I don't like urinals at all. If I do use one, I use it for 1 second, then run like hell. So as always, friends, be sure to ask me your questions so I can give you some answers.